Friday, October 2nd. It is just after 10 o'clock in the morning, and I'm in a great mood today because today we ended up actually getting our old washer removed from the house. The handyman for the house basically came by and picked it up about an hour ago, and it was awesome. Like, the floor is absolutely dirty though where this washer used to be, because if you watched my last reading vlog, I talked about how this past Sunday, I went and got a new washer and dryer ordered because our dryer that we had that basically like came with the house when we rented it, the lining on the inside of it, basically like right on the inside of the dryer, like where like the rim of the hatch is, basically the lining on that inside part of it basically had worn away, and all of our clothes are getting caught in it. More of mine specifically, sometimes Robert's, but mostly like my bras and underwear and stuff like that. Like, they keep getting caught, and there's like, I don't know if there's like a hook or something in there, but basically it causes like the bra straps on my bras to completely like sever. I actually last night had a bra that was snapped basically in half down the like binding between the cup. And so this has been happening for like about month, maybe 2 months at this point at least, and we finally just bit the bullet and last Sunday ordered a new washer and dryer because the washer was fine, but both of them are fairly old, so we just decided to get a whole new set. And that way too, this washer and dryer we're going to be getting next Saturday on the 10th. They will be ours, so when we ever decide to move from this house, we will be taking them with us because we purchased them ourselves. So that was a very big adult purchase. Also, just to kind of update you guys on how stuff for the wedding is going, we booked all of our hotels and stuff for the honeymoon. Here in about maybe 2 weeks or so, maybe less than that, we are like rearranging the entire house. Tonight, we're actually going to rearrange our bedroom a little bit to take this dresser we have that sits in the living room that our TV sits on out there and take that into our bedroom and basically swap out some stuff, because we really want to redecorate this house to basically make it ours, and our roommate is going to be leaving here shortly, like in the next couple of weeks. And like I said in my last vlog, we're going to turn his bedroom that he had into my office, basically, where I will have like my bookshelves and all that stuff, so that the dining room area where all my stuff is now will be a dining room. And then this desk that I have sitting here, that is what I use mostly when I'm working and stuff, Robert doesn't really use very much anymore, so he told me I could take this and we'd sell the desk I have now because it's a little too high for me with how my chair sits. And then this room, which is currently our office, is going to turn more into an entertainment center. Our roommate's desk and computer and stuff that sits over on this side of the room is going to leave. This desk will be gone, and so we're going to have like a whole entertainment center and have like our Xboxes, our Switch on there, like everything that we would use in the living room currently in here. And so this is going to be probably where we spend the most of our time, which I do pretty much right now anyway. I spend a lot of time in this room. And we're gonna also Halloweenify it. Once everything goes on sale after we get married, of like the Halloween decorations, we are going to like decorate this whole room Halloween, because Robert told me we could, because he really wants to do that, because Halloween is one of his favorite holidays, which is why we're getting married on that day, and it's also one of my favorite holidays. So he decided that we can actually like put a lot of Halloween decorations in here, which makes me really excited because that is something I love. I love Halloween decorations. There's so many good ones right now that I've seen at like Michael's and at my grocery store that is in town and stuff like that. So I'm really, really excited. So currently I am finishing up Ruin and Rising by Leigh Bardugo. This is a buddy read I've been working on with my friend Princess over the last week, and we are finishing this up today and we'll be discussing it tonight. I think I'm gonna wait to start reading this though until my next break, just because I wanted to sit and talk with you guys for a little bit on this break that I'm currently on. And then I'm also gonna hopefully this weekend be finishing up the Aeneid. I have 2 more parts of this that I want to finish, but that's basically it for like what I have planned for reading. If I end up finishing the Aeneid tomorrow, I probably am gonna pick up The Night of the Seven Kingdoms and read the last 2 short stories in that, because I had started that in like June, I think, as well as when I started the Aeneid, and never got around to finishing it. So I want to finish that before I go back into Night Shift by Stephen King, which that's another thing. Like, I want to go back and finish up like my reading stuff that I wanted to do here and there. And like I said in my last vlog, I really only want to focus on books that I absolutely want to read. The last thing I want to do for right now before I head off for the day is I do want to do my oracle and tarot card reading because I've not done that yet this morning, and I thought it might be really cool to show you guys kind of my process with this and kind of seeing what I get for the day. Now, I do this usually every morning, normally before I start work. But this morning was a little crazy with the handyman coming in to get the washer, so I totally forgot to do it until before I started making this video, so I wanted to make sure that I did it. Now, with the oracle cards, as I've said before, these are basically cards that you pull one and it's supposed to give you a general idea of what's going on and stuff like that. And then the tarot cards are supposed to be a little bit more in depth. They're supposed to kind of give a little bit more clarity, like specific things that are happening that you might, want to adhere to. Now, this is not an exact science by any means. These cards are very much up to interpretation, as is pretty much anything regarding anything with oracle or tarot cards. So take anything that comes up as a grain of salt. This is more so for me, and I just want to show you guys what I kind of interpret from these cards kind of thing. But I do hope in the future that I kind of want to do what G from Book Roast has done, where I guess in the past and now again more recently in her videos, she's been doing tarot and oracle card readings for viewers, and there's like 3 different sets of them, and then you pick one, and basically from that she draws out the cards, and it kind of explains what she's reading, what she interprets the cards to be. I'm a little new to the interpreting side, so that's why I'm really only doing this for myself, because my own interpretation of the cards is most important for myself. But if for some reason you resonate with any of these cards, that's great. Let me know if they do resonate with you in the comments below, but I don't necessarily take any of these with any credence, because everyone's interpretation of these cards is going to be different, and I cannot tell you whether or not your interpretation is right or wrong, because that's not how this works. That's just not how it works at all, because this is all about how you interpret what you pull. It's basically not necessarily building a situation from the cards, but understanding maybe what you are going through. And if it doesn't resonate with you, it doesn't. It totally is fine, because sometimes the cards have no idea what they're talking about, and they might be pulling stuff completely out of their ass, and it just doesn't resonate with you, and that's totally fine. Anyway, so I've shuffled my oracle cards, and basically what I do from here is I will usually send it a question of sorts, which is usually, what do I need to know about the day to get through the day? Or what do I need to know about my day in terms of how I am feeling currently? So I just send that energy to the cards. And then I pick the top one from the stack, which today the card is Divine Protection. Now, these oracle cards in particular, this is the Earth Wisdom set by Barbara Moore and the artwork done by Christina Scagliotti. And basically each card in the little booklet has a description, as well as it has usually a flower or herb and a stone that corresponds to the card that helps to understand what the card means. So let's dive into it. So Divine Protection has Angelica as the flower, which is right here in the middle, which enhances divine protection, spiritual guidance, love, and healing. And then the stones that are involved with it are Andalusite, which sometimes are called fairy stones, and they can form a circle of protection. And usually sometimes if the card has a stone that I actually have, I will keep it at my desk, or if it is part of a necklace, I will be wearing it throughout the day to kind of promote that energy that the card is giving me, that it might help me through the day. The Divine Protection card description says, sometimes we are required to go where angels and perhaps even fairies fear to tread. Before heading into the deep, dark unknown, surround yourself with divine protection. Create a circle of light around yourself, drawing in protective energy from all around. Connect to your higher source and ask for loving guidance. Now, this card doesn't necessarily, I think, apply to me right now, because I'm actually in a really nice headspace. I feel very happy. So I don't feel like I necessarily need any kind of divine protection, which is totally fine. But it is possible that, at some point during the day, I'll feel like I need to kind of meditate on it. Now, what this basically tells me is like, okay, take some time to, meditate, take some time to promote that kind of good energy toward myself, so that, I have that kind of protection for when I'm feeling really, really upset, which today I don't think I necessarily will need it, but I do think that it will be good for me to maybe meditate today a little bit and kind of take that time to bring in that positive energy that is possibly needed at some point today. Usually what I do is with the Oracle and Tarot cards, I put them right near my monitor where I work so that I have a constant reminder of how the day is, you know, for me and what to kind of remember about the day. Now we're going to go into the tarot cards I have. This is basically a deck called Tarot of the Secret Forest. So it is very whimsical, very fantasy based, very fae inspired, I think. And these are always really fun. So this one though too, they have cards where they have a colored side, and then on the opposite side, they have in a more monochromatic color, black and white, gray kind of thing. Now, what this means is like the cards basically can, according to this deck that was created by, where's the name? I don't remember the name. The deck was created by Lucia Mattioli, and basically like the cards can talk about a couple different things. Usually you can do a couple different spreads with this. Now, the typical spread for this deck is to have, there's a diagram here for it, is to have 3 cards that show your past, your present, and future, and then 1 card that shows your hopes and dreams, and 1 card that basically is like your fears and things that like you're afraid of right now, or like what might be kind of holding you back in a sense. That is not the spread I do. I usually just pull 2 cards, one from the top of the deck, one from the bottom of the deck. Because these are two-sided, essentially what I'll do is I will shuffle through, kind of like how I do with my oracle cards, where I just pull from the middle, drops them in the front, drops them in the back, and so on and so forth till I run out of cards. And then after a few rounds of this, what I do is I will split the deck like so, and I will take one end and I will flip it, I will turn it and flip it, where now they're sometimes upside down and turned away, and then I basically go through and shuffle again and do the same thing to the opposite side of turning and flipping the cards after I've gone through a few rounds of shuffling, just to kind of try to keep them as shuffled as possible. And now without looking, I'm going to pull 1 card from the top of the deck and 1 card from the bottom of the deck. Okay, so the cards I ended up pulling is a reversed Knave of Swords and a reversed 21. In the booklet, they also have like things about the different cards, like kind of some general ideas of what they are. One thing I don't like about this booklet though is it doesn't really go into anything specific about what the card is supposed to mean. It kind of just gives a general like idea of it. So I do have a website that I will leave in the description that I use to help me with understanding the tarot card meanings. So knave also can correspond to page. So according to this website, the Page of Swords signals messages relating to information or problems. It is sometimes about illness and often rumor or gossip. When the querent gets the Page of Swords, they should be warned to check it out. They should not pass on the message until they're sure it's true. Swords are words and thoughts, and neither may have any validity behind them. As time and environment, it says this is the time of new ideas and thoughts. They not only seem new, but unique, special, and there is a great deal of chatter, talk, and discussion. It may not be very mature, but it is rapid and developing fast. Then there's as a child or childlike person, which I would consider myself childlike. I have a very childlike personality. It says you can't shut up the Page of Swords. They want to know everything, be told everything, and even more alarming, anything they hear, they'll repeat. This is the child that will go up to Aunt Hazel and say, "Are you carrying a baby? Mommy says that it looks like you are." This card could warn the querent that they or someone else might blurt out something they heard that they shouldn't be blurting. On a positive side, this child or childlike person could be quite a prodigy, good at puzzles, quick to learn. The card can signal absorbing new information quickly or solving problems fast, also using a computer. Warn the querent, however, that being immature, this person will be prone to argue. Not only is there a risk of this Page of Swords being a tattletale, but they tend to think they know it all when they don't. This can be a card about boasting, gossip, and lying, either knowingly or unknowingly. Now that's like if the Page of Swords, or Knave of Swords, according to this deck, is in the standard form. Now, if we looked at the reversed meaning of this, negative qualities include lying, gossiping, and being a know-it-all. He may spread stories about people, say inappropriate things, waste his time on the computer in chat rooms, etc. Do not under any circumstances trust this person with a secret. They won't keep it. If upright and not a person, this card is about messages reflecting legal matters, solutions to problems, or amusing stories. If reversed, they may well be messages that contain malicious gossip, inaccurate stories, news of illness, or negative legal matters. So basically what this card reversed is talking about is like if it relates to a person, if it's relating to like if you're reading the cards based on like about a person that you might know, you probably shouldn't trust them because they might, spread rumors or gossip or things about things that they might not really know about. However, if you're reading this and it is not about a person, it's more about, just about your day, about your situation, it basically does indicate that there might be some bad news coming your way. So it's entirely possible that today may be a day where some bad news comes up. You might hear some things, you might see some things that aren't necessarily accurate, so be aware of that. Things might not be as they seem, so be sure to understand and go fully into understanding a story before really believing it, kind of thing, which I think especially right now with the election year is very, very important because there's a lot of inaccuracies floating around. So then we also have the reversed 21, the world. So it symbols woman or hermaphrodite dancing, a wreath in the shape of a yoni, an almond-shaped circle, 2 wands, a cherub, an eagle, a lion, and a bull. The art on this is very different than like the traditional tarot cards, so mostly I'm just going to look at the meaning. The World or Universe card pictures a dancer in a yoni, sometimes made of laurel leaves. The yoni symbolizes the Great Mother, the cervix through which everything is born, and also the doorway to the next life after death. It is indicative of a complete circle. The dancer has one leg crossed over the other, just like the Hanged Man. She is, in a sense, his opposite, the Hanged Man right side up. As the Hanged Man saw infinitely inward, the dancer sees infinitely outward. The dancer is also the opposite of the wheel. The wheel goes up and down like a Ferris wheel, which means those on it feel like they're getting moved to higher or lower positions, are unlucky or lucky. The world, by compare, goes round and round like a carousel. This means that whatever corner of the universe a person gets sent to, it seems equally wonderful and interesting, not like a promotion or demotion. With the world, there are no zeniths or nadders. Each corner is different, but all are similarly important. Which brings us to the lion, bull, cherub, and eagle standing for Leo, Taurus, Aquarius, and Scorpio, the fixed signs of the zodiac, also sometimes found on the Wheel of Fortune card. These are symbolic of the 4 elements, 4 suits of the tarot, 4 compass points, 4 seasons, and the 4 corners of the universe, all within the dancer's sight and power. Thus, the World card is about first, completion and competency. The querent may have come to the end of a long-term project or graduated from a field of study. There is the feeling that they have hit all the points of the circle. There will be well-earned praise, celebration, and success. Saturn, the card's ruling planet, reinforces this. Saturn is the scholar card and indicates that the querent is now an expert in their subject. Thus, this is not like death, this end of something, but rather a change in frequency. From student to teacher, from apprentice to master. The querent has finished their first go-around and it goes right into another spin as a professional. And finally, on a more mundane level, the World card indicates travel, not short business trips, but long, fantastic trips. Maybe a lecture tour, book signing, or just a trip around the world. This can be a wonderful card of wholeness, satisfaction, and independence. Now, that is the standard way. Now, the reversed card of that is obviously the opposite of the traveling card, could be staying at home, a person who can't venture from their comfort zone. Likewise, the person is far from finishing what they've been working on. It isn't complete, it's only just started. I mean, I've been working from home for the last now 6 months at the very least, 7 months actually, so this actually does really speak to what's going on. I have definitely been feeling like I've been trapped at home because I can't do a lot because I have to work from home all the time. It also says that we might also say the opposite here would be the Fool, but we already have that card, so what's the difference? I would say that the Fool doesn't pretend to know anything, but the reversed world indicates a person who thinks they are worldly, pretends to be worldly, but they are not. This card could very well suggest someone who is fooling themselves or others. Their knowledge is faulty or just plain wrong. Their information is false, they don't know what they're talking about. Now, another meaning of it is that the energy of the World card is completion or mastery. A blocked World card indicates that something is stopping a person from finishing the job. So that could mean like there's a mental block, there is like a physical block from getting the job done. I definitely feel like for me right now, I've been having a big mental block when it comes to finishing work. I don't have the motivation to continue. A lot of days I find myself being a little bit more distracted because I don't want to do the work I need to do. So I definitely would see how this card does reflect that in a lot of ways. The blocked symbol of it also could mean that it's for someone who is agoraphobic, a person who cannot leave their home, who is afraid of the outside world. I wouldn't say I'm agoraphobic, but I think I have had more days than not where I don't want to go outside because I am a little afraid of the fact that, I could go outside and catch COVID. But I wouldn't necessarily say I am agoraphobic by any means. I don't have a lot of reason to go outside, so I basically choose not to. And then the last thing that this card talks about is the upside down of the Rider-Waite world gives us an image very much like the Hanged Man. The dancing figure can't dance, the world, as it were, can't turn. We end up with stillness rather than movement. As with the other interpretations, we get the feeling that no travel is possible. The person can't turn, so it can't see all around them. They can't complete what they've started. So yeah, this one definitely fits more of what I'm going through now because like I said, I have had basically been working from home for now just about 7 months, and it hasn't been necessarily bad. I still am able to go out and do things like fairly like normal, but a lot of times I choose not to because I don't have a lot of reason to. And I do think that though that working from home, a lot of my motivation has gone down. That is something I have noticed over the last week is I have had a little bit of a motivation issue, which is fairly common for a lot of people who have been working from home or are staying home more often. That's a very common thing that a lot of people have been talking about with the pandemic is that they feel like they aren't motivated, they don't feel they're productive kind of thing. And this card I think definitely speaks to a lot of that. Based on the tarot cards, it does seem to me like today would be a really good day for meditation because there are some negative things happening right now where it would probably be very much in my best interest to possibly meditate on those things and take the time to actually do that because I haven't actually meditated in a long time. Anyway, I don't plan on doing this every single day. I just kind of wanted to do this today because I thought that it would be really cool to show you guys how I do my process, but I've been sitting here now for 40 minutes going through all of this stuff, updating you, telling you what basically these cards mean. So I'm gonna go now and I will catch up with you guys with my thoughts on Ruin and Rising when I have finished it. I've done it. I finished it. Oh my god. I basically spent like the last hour reading this and then afterward I snuggled with Robert for a little bit, so this is not immediately after I finished the book, but oh my god, I kid you not, this is probably one of my most favorite conclusions of stories in a long time. Now, it didn't end the way that I 100% expected it. I knew what happened to Alina and Mal because I think I accidentally spoiled myself for it months ago when I was looking at how many pages the book was. But the lead up to that and what happens to the Darkling, I did not know at all going into it. I know Princess knew what happened to the Darkling, and so tonight she and I are going to be talking about this later. But I will just say, probably one of my favorite conclusions of all time, a 5 out of 5 stars for me. I just really loved the pacing of the story. I felt like I flew through the book because it was very intense, like almost the entirety of the story, and even the parts that were like kind of slower for like the story still felt very intense. Like this is basically like the big boss battle at the very end, or like the final battle of the whole thing, and I really liked seeing kind of the fact that there is like a whole storyline that could be developed with Nikolai, which there is with King of Scars, and I am really excited to be able to read King of Scars and then later on, or maybe even before that, reading the Six of Crows duology, because Princess says that if I really liked this, I definitely will fall in love with the Six of Crows duology, and that was her introduction into the Grishaverse and she loved it. So I am excited to get to that series eventually. I don't know when it's going to happen, but it will happen eventually because I loved the way that Lee Bardugo wrote the story. I think that truthfully Siege and Storm, which I rated a 4 out of 5 stars, just suffered from middle book syndrome where it dragged a lot, and it was the second half of the book that I really got into, which was fine. I still thought it was a good read, but I just felt like the first half of the second book was a little dragging because there wasn't really a lot that was going on, and then once we met Nikolai and understood who he was, that set everything off with a bang. So yeah, loved Ruin and Rising. I'm so excited to talk with Princess tonight about it later. Right now, I'm gonna go eat a little snack because I'm getting hungry and it's not quite yet time for me to make dinner. I probably won't talk to you guys again today because I'm gonna just basically be talking to Princess and then probably reading the Aeneid. So I'll talk to you guys tomorrow when I finish the Aeneid and give some thoughts on it and then get started with my other books. Hi. I just got done filming my September and August wrap up. So last night I did not end up actually reading the Aeneid because it ended up being that Robert and I rearranged our entire bedroom last night, which pretty much took up all of my time, and then I still had to fold laundry that we had done a couple days ago, and that also needed to be done because I needed to basically find a way to incorporate laundry into this dresser that we had in the living room that was like our TV stand and stuff in there that we moved into the bedroom, and trying to see like how much that we could fit in that. So today my plan, I was gonna, after doing filming, go out into town to take some stuff that I'm gonna donate to Goodwill to them and go get groceries, but I don't really want to do that right now. I kind of want to wait until Robert gets up because I don't want to go by myself, and I'm just not in the mood to get out today. I also wanted to mention, I haven't talked about it yet, but I am listening to an audiobook. I'm like I have only a few hours left of it, and it is called Winter Counts. I'll leave the picture here because I don't remember the name of the author by any means, unfortunately, but this is basically a native story. It's a native indigenous story about a guy named Virgil Wounded Knee. He finds out that, his nephew he overdoses off of heroin and finds out that there is a heroin ring coming into the reservation that he needs to find a way to stop because it is not supposed to be there. It ruins a lot of stuff, and people are like, they're dying. Like a bunch of teenagers are getting the heroin and they're dying basically because his nephew nearly dies. And Virgil is kind of like a vigilante of sorts. He's not like an actual cop, but he goes off and beats the crap out of people who deserve it. Like the very beginning of the story, he basically goes off and finds this guy who molested and sexually assaulted a minor, and he beats the crap out of him. He's your Native American vigilante, which I thought was really cool. I've not seen anyone like that because I feel like most stories, when they write on Native people, it's like they're very calm, they're very warm, and they're kind. They're not gonna go off and hurt people because that's not what they do, and that's bullshit to me. So I really like that there's a character who kind of is not necessarily morally gray, but he's a vigilante of sorts. And essentially, like I said, this whole story is him trying to find out who is behind this heroin ring that is coming into the reservation, and he's trying to stop it. And he's doing so with his ex-girlfriend, which is really interesting. Like, there's not a lot of romantic tension. There really isn't a lot of like what I would consider to be normal substance to this book. I feel like this is definitely just a book that is like not a thriller, it's not a mystery, it's kind of just a literary fiction almost kind of story about a guy who's trying to keep his nephew from using heroin and getting involved in a drug ring that he doesn't need to be a part of. So anyway, I'm going to go make some lunch and then finish editing last week's vlog and then hopefully get that up today. And then I will probably get my footage from this vlog and from the September August wrap up into my computer, and then I will probably at some point today then continue reading the Aeneid. I think that today I would like to finish it because I wanted to finish it today with finishing the last part of the story, but I didn't end up reading the part I was going to read yesterday either, so I think I'm just going to crank out the last 2 parts of it and then we'll go from there. Hello, friends. I don't know why I started saying that. I think I've been watching way too much Glam and Gore recently, who, if you guys don't know, is like a really awesome like SFX artist. She is absolutely amazing. I love her so much. So if you want to go check out her channel, I'll leave a link down below. I just think she is so fascinating. But it is currently about 10:20 at night. I'm by myself right now. Ryan is in the next room, so if you hear him, that's why. I did not really get to read much today. I basically was feeling very off all day. After I finished uploading my video, I was getting a really bad headache because, again, actually right now, currently, we're getting some rain. And I knew my headache was from that because I had looked at the weather earlier in the day, and it is very typical that when we get rain, especially in the transitions between summer to fall and winter to spring, I will get headaches very often. I will get sometimes even migraines, which are very hard for me to deal with. I haven't had a migraine, knock on wood, yet, but I have had some pretty bad headaches over the last couple of days. So today I did not do really any reading, and then Robert and I didn't really eat dinner until almost by the time he had to leave. So I've been, I was actually feeling better. I had taken some Excedrin earlier in the day and it knocked out my headache. I've not read any much more of the Aeneid. I think I'm going to try to read at least the next book of it, which is book 11, before I go to sleep, but I'm not quite that tired yet. So Robert put on Halloween Baking Championship from the Food Network, season 1, on while we ate. And so I'm in the middle of just started episode 3. And so I kind of want to watch that before I get dived back into the Aeneid. I was going to finish it today, but I just did not end up feeling well over the course of the day. And I do not think that I'm going to get past book 11 because I will say that with as dense and as slow as I read the parts of this book, it's going to take me a long time to get through it. So didn't want to do that. But I will be able to finish it tomorrow because I don't have anything going on tomorrow until the later portion of the day after Robert has woken up. We are going to go into town to go and take some stuff to Goodwill that I was going to do today but lost the motivation to do after I was filming because I wasn't feeling very well. We are also going to go, I think, to the Halloween store for a hot minute because I want to go see if they have a Halloween costume that I want to get. I want to see if it's cheaper than buying online because I don't want to necessarily pay the full price for the costume and for shipping if I don't need to. So I'm going to go see if there is one there that I would like to be able to get for my bachelorette party. And then after that, we're going to go get groceries. And okay, guys, it is now about 3:45 in the afternoon, and I have just finished the Aeneid by Virgil, and this is where I'm going to end this weekend reading vlog here. I ended up, like I thought about last night, giving this a 4 stars because I think in general I really liked the story. I think it was very interesting and definitely had a lot of like really cool elements with the gods being involved in the story and how they were kind of wanting things to go certain ways and it not happening for them. I loved kind of the perseverance of Aeneas, and I really also liked a lot of the battle scenes that were involved with this. I think that this is definitely just a really interesting story if you were able to look up the Spark Notes. Like, the Spark Notes I think really did help me a lot with this because obviously the language of the book was very difficult to fully grasp. There were some scenes that were very vivid and I could understand parts of them, but the Spark Notes really helped with helping to understand the overall story of it, which for those of you that might not know, this is, like I've said before, the Roman version of the Odyssey by Homer, which basically in this one, the main character Aeneas is the former ruler of Troy, and the story opens where he and his people have to flee Troy because the Greeks have attacked with the Trojan horse. While Aeneas is fleeing, he essentially loses his wife, who then her spirit tells him that he will end up marrying somebody else in this other land. And the goddesses Juno and Venus, who are respectively Athena, I believe, and then Aphrodite being the mother of Aeneas, they basically are trying to fight against each other because Athena, or Juno as she's written in this story, she does not like Aeneas because Aeneas was the reason for her city's downfall, and she does not want him to end up going to different places that she rules, like Carthage, where Aeneas eventually ends up, where he meets the Queen Dido, which many people are very familiar with that part of the story of how he doesn't necessarily get trapped on Dido's island, but how Dido falls madly in love with him and almost wants him to stay on the island and not continue his journey, which was a ploy by Juno. And so the whole story is really about Aeneas trying to traverse this path that he believes is set out for him by the gods and basically go to what is now modern day Italy and start up a new civilization there. But the goddess of a Juno does not want him to do that because he has basically foiled a lot of her plans, and so she's seeking revenge on him and tries to foil his plans continuously over the course of this book with various battles and situations that he is put in where he has to basically think on his feet and then pray to gods to help him with essentially getting through this time. And it's basically like a battle of the gods more so than anything, because the gods and goddesses in Roman and Greek too stories, they are always at battle with each other, and they kind of use the humans as their pawns in that, or they influence things to happen to certain people because they are at battle and they are trying to win some kind of overarching war. So I really like a lot of what the story was doing, and I think in general this is definitely something that for many people is better to possibly read and listen to as opposed to just reading or just listening to. Like, if you had an audiobook of this playing as you were reading the text, I think a lot of the scenes would be a little bit clearer and more concrete, because this is definitely one of those stories where it was first told orally. So that is the best way that it is told, is orally. But because over time, the story was written down, I think that a lot of times, like older texts like this, and even things like from Shakespeare per se, they're easier to listen to as you're reading the text because it just makes the images much more concrete. And I think that if I had gone that way with the story, I think I would have enjoyed it much more, but I still really enjoyed it, and I really appreciate the kind of story it is and the kind of purpose it has within our literary canon and our literature history when it comes to stories and how they were created and things of that nature. So definitely a 4 to 5 stars. Really enjoyed this. So I do plan on reading maybe a little bit more tonight, but I don't really want to showcase that right now because I don't even necessarily know for sure if I'll get to anything else. I do have a plan of what I would like to read next at the very least, but I'm not quite sure if it's going to happen. Anyway, thanks so much, you guys, for watching this video. If you guys did enjoy it, please do give it a big thumbs up. And if you're not already and you'd like to be, hit that button down below and subscribe to become an owlet in our flock. And I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye, guys.